Welcome
to Film Shapes,
the podcast. All right, hi everybody. This is Film Shapes, and today we're going to be talking about Captain Marvel, and we're joined by Parizad.
Hello.
How you going?
Good, thank you.
Good, and Roly, of course.
Hello.
What's going on?
Yeah.
I threw you with that question.
I struggle with this film.
Okay, let's before you get into it. So this is the 21st film of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. 21. It's about 11 years. Whoa. 21 films.
Wow.
And it's the first to feature a female lead. Directed by two people, Anna Boden and Ryan Fleck, and stars Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, etc. So what's wrong with it, Rolly? What's going on?
So it took them 21 films
Mm-hmm.
to get to this thing.
To get to what?
Well, having a first female lead. And
Okay.
I just don't think they didn't nail it for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is a female Top Gun, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does come across
without
that
the
way.
kind of cheesy love scenes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I was very grateful were missing.
But yeah. But I would say the cheesiness is kind of made up for with Ben Mendelsohn's accent, which is it's just ridiculous.
No, I disagree.
And distracting.
I like that. If it's distracting, it's because you're not expecting an Aussie to turn up and go, yeah, mate, well, just, I'm a Skrull. Yeah. No.
If that's all that was wrong with this film, then that'd be fine. But
He's a good actor.
I love Ben Mendelsohn.
Sure. But you're besmirching his accent.
I just think I found it really distracting in this film. I'm not sure if he was going a bit over the top. There was something over the top about it.
Look, there are American and British accents primarily in the Marvel universe, right? You get the occasional fake Russian, I suppose, with the Scarlet Witch. That's more offensive than an Aussie just being an Aussie, I think.
I wonder if it was done intentionally because the Skrull were, I guess in the context of the Marvel Universe, a minority, and so their accent would be different.
We are a minority, basically.
No, but you know what I mean? Like, it's done intentionally so that they stand out as being different from the others.
Yeah.
That makes sense as an alien kind of race of some sort.
Well, and we should bring up, this is the Kree-Skull War, isn't it, that sort of comes to Earth from the comics.
But it's what because it is such a familiar accent, that makes it very not alien.
Right.
For me.
It just sort of jarred you out of it?
But it's familiar to you, but most of the people in the world who are watching this are probably going, where's that guy coming from? Is that Hawaiian? I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Right, come on, really?
I think people.
I don't think Americans
know
would
an Australian accent when they hear one.
I don't think most
I think
Americans
some
would.
people do.
Yeah.
Americans?
Please write in. Tell us if you understood that guy. Yeah.
And I felt at times this felt more like an ad for girl power than an actual movie at times. Like I thought it was almost like it was created by an ad agency executive. It had that kind of feel from it rather than an actual movie done by a serious director.
Now I picked up on that because as you told me before, I was thinking, what's the ad? This is very local, but there's an ad for women's cricket. Have you ever seen this one?
I haven't seen it.
It's Commonwealth Bank, I think.
Yeah.
And there are shots of girls with cricket bats.
Completely.
And I thought, it's pretty much like that ad.
Montage that happens, kind of, I don't know, is it 3/4 of the way through?
Pretty much near the end, yeah.
And it's like, girls get up, girls can do it. But I'm not the audience for this, am I?
No, not really.
No, 40-something white guy, not the audience. I felt like it was just really preachy and simple.
On that point, I'm not sure. There's a point at the end where she's talking to the Supreme Intelligence, and this woman's saying, "You're only human." It's Annette Bening's character.
Yeah.
You can't do this. We gave you the powers. You're only human. She said, "That's right. I'm only human." And then she proceeds to go a bit ballistic. But
Have a cough.
But is that a feminist thing or is it a human thing?
I think they wanted it to be some sort of bridge between the two. But given that she's talking to a female character, obviously the flashbacks are going to be all of her childhood and every time she gets up, which then makes it a feminist thing as well.
Yeah. Excuse me. I didn't have a problem with the feminist angle. I had a problem with the because you're human, you can do anything. Bullshit. All the powers in this universe are fucking super-powered people. I can beat them because I'm human. Well, where do all that sparkly shit come from? You know? I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's my issue. Like, trying to prove that because you're human, you can do anything. The Krees and the Skrulls would shit on a human. Really. The Xandarians, the Titans, all these other people in the universe.
The Skrulls, they don't seem to be super
Dude, they
good
can,
at fighting, though.
They can change
shape
into
and
anything.
things. Yeah, okay. But I'm curious your overall impression of Parizad.
It was one of those weird things. I walked out of the cinema absolutely loving it. And then a couple of days on, when I was thinking back on it, I was like, I don't actually remember all that much of the film. And for me, the true test of how, I guess, good a film is story-wise is how well I remember it. So I think you have a point in terms of the story not being much of a story. But then I think any superhero origin story has that failing. Like, I'm pretty done with origin stories. If it hadn't been for the fact that this was the first female lead in the Marvel Universe, I might not have even seen it, you know? Mm-hmm. Just because I'm so tired of hearing origin stories. I just want them to get on with the main plot.
Do you think it did justice, being the first female lead? Was it good enough to be?
In some ways, yes, it was amazing. In other ways, it could have done a bit more. I liked that it showed powerful women who were not just white. Like the best friend, Maria, was amazing.
Yeah.
And I liked that it showed... One of my friends made this point, and as soon as she said it, it really rang true, that most stories, when they show a powerful female character, they always just show them as the strong female character, like the end result, where they're resilient and able to stand up to anything, and never really show the process and the amount of crap that they've had to put up with in order to get to that point. Whereas this movie did show that a little bit.
I think it did more than a little bit.
Yeah.
I think it just hammered it home time after time,
And
whereas they could have just kept the guy saying, where they call it a cockpit.
Right.
Yeah. But I think that was the point. I think they hammered it home because it is something that you have to deal with more or less every single day, is putting up with people's innate prejudices. Like, not even the ones that are overtly sexist, but the kind of inbuilt subconscious biases that people have. And so the fact that, they hammered it home, I think, was clarifying that. If it's annoying to watch, imagine how annoying it is to live with that every day.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was that in your face in this, compared to even Black Panther, which was doing the same thing for African Americans, all black people, basically. That seemed a little bit more obvious. You're making a face at me.
I just think the opposite. I think the opposite
Really?
is true. I think Black Panther, it was just a classier film to me. I think it was just a better film.
Okay,
I have no problem with the message, and there's things I've probably missed in this that I'm not giving credit to, but I just didn't think it was a great film.
I only really noticed the issue when they were doing that Commonwealth Bank ad at the end. This is a little bit. Yeah, it's sort of pushing it home a bit, but I didn't mind. I mean, just on the subject of her best mate, if that was a film 10 years ago, that would have been a dude probably. You'd imagine that they would have had some sort of, I don't know,
romance.
Maybe some tension between them or something.
And interestingly, when I was watching, did anyone else get a vibe that there was a hinted romance?
No.
Because I did.
Oh, okay.
I was watching and I was going, okay, they seem like,
why not?
there are two readings. One is that they're just very, very close best friends who have grown up together and struggled through more or less the same things, except, of course, her friend would have had to deal with the added issues of racism. Yep.
And single parent.
And single parenting. Especially single parenting like a couple of decades ago.
Yeah.
But I did get a sense when when they first reunite and Maria looks at her and says, "You really don't remember anything?" I just got that sense that there was like a hidden background romance there. But I may just be reading into it.
Well, maybe that's a female bromance then. Is that a fromance?
Freemance?
Freemance. Femance.
How about just a romance?
But that could be between anybody. I don't know why they even call it a bromance. It's stupid. But so let's.
I think it's to make all the slightly homophobic people feel a bit more comfortable with two men being close.
That would have been really.
But a bromance, I don't think a bromance is actually suggestive of any sort of sexual behaviour.
It's just that super
it's more
close
that
friendship.
I just love hanging out with my mate.
But then but don't you read that between guys in those buddy films?
Sometimes.
Okay, so that's possible. It would have been good if they'd had a proper tongue kiss, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
These two. Fantastic.
Grant.
It would have changed the movie quite a bit, wouldn't it?
To move on, the Top Gun references were it even had the goose, right? This film.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't like Top Gun.
You didn't like...
I don't like Top Gun's shit.
Can I admit I've never seen Top Gun?
Oh, you might as well leave it that way.
Fine.
I've seen bits and pieces of it. I've never seen it all the way through.
Yeah, okay.
And every time I've seen bits and pieces, I've gone, not for
What's
me.
that horrible song that goes with it? Come on, Rolly.
Take my breath away.
That's it.
That's it. That's enough.
So I didn't have this... But this film did have lots of horrible music from the 90s as well.
Well, you say horrible.
Which was another thing I didn't like.
Okay, it goes from...
90s was shit, man.
That was not shit.
I didn't like the music
great.
then. I don't like it now.
Oh, you're a traitor to your generation.
I am, and I was then too. It's not like the...
You were playing music in the 90s.
It's not a cool era. Like, people go back to the 90s like it was something cool. It's not that cool.
Your best stuff was in the 90s.
It's not the... Yeah, but we were into the 60s, though.
I didn't read that from your music. Was I getting it wrong all
The 60s
this
and
time?
the 70s were much cooler, so... In the 90s, I felt like I was living in the 60s or the 70s. But all this other stuff, it was just like people with, I don't know.
Okay, that's another
personal
discussion.
hygiene, screaming into microphones.
That's another discussion.
The 90s.
Okay, I've written two down here. You're going from right at the bottom, salt and pepper. What's that one? Well, I don't know. Yeah, me. This was shit. This was what's that song? What a Man or something?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, that one just... There was so much music in this film.
But then up to the top, Elastica, Connection was in there. Great. But in the middle there was certainly some mishits.
I can't... When I was watching it, like, a few of the songs I just didn't know, I didn't recognise. And a few of them I did, and I loved for the nostalgia element of it. But... The nostalgia is, for me, not looking back and going, oh, how great were the 90s. It was just looking back and going, oh, this reminds me of my childhood. And that's where the nostalgia is.
Childhood, she says. Listen to her.
What? I was a kid in the 90s.
I know. Yeah, we were already adults then.
Well, bully for you.
That's why you didn't remember them all. But, yeah. I mean, I think it's too much. Maybe if they'd had half the number of songs.
Yeah, it just seemed song after song. Yeah, that was part of what I didn't like about it as well. Just the reliance on the music to push the drum. You know, those conversations between Fury and Captain Marvel were just felt stilted as well.
A little bit mawkish, yeah.
Mawkish,
yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look that up.
I think I felt better about this film than you did in general.
Yeah.
I was telling Parizad at work. I like this when they leave Earth. In the Marvel universe.
Yep.
That's kind of more interesting. They get a bit more of a playground, I think, don't they?
I did, as a concession, I did like how she dealt with, what's his name at the end?
Oh, the...
Jude Law character, Jon Rog.
Oh, yeah.
I liked that too. That was one of my favourite moments.
That ending was nice.
Yeah.
I particularly liked it because it was such a undermining of that trope. And it's not just in movies and film, like, about women, but with men as well.
Yeah.
That final, you have to prove yourself and you have to, show that you're capable of doing this without all of the added benefits.
Right.
And she's going, no.
I can't be bothered with that.
I don't have to prove anything to you. I really liked that moment.
Yeah.
Possibly the first time that this thing happened may have been... Was it Raiders of the Lost Ark, where the The big dude confronts Indiana Jones, and he just, I can't be bothered with this, and just shoots him. Yeah. That's good. That's nice.
So you've nailed back to the beginning of the trope there. That's interesting.
Probably, or the beginning of subverting the trope, maybe. I don't know.
Which has become its own.
Has it? Shit. Okay.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It's transformed and.
The Tesseract. What the hell?
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, I had to research this to find out where the hell it's been and gone and all. It's had it needs its own spin-off film. This cube, really, to explain everything.
Do you know where it sits in the timeline? Because I'm struggling.
Yep. Yes, if I can remember rightly, it's. I don't want to go too much into it, but the Asgardians had it. Mm. It got lost for a bit in World War II, Captain America, and all that stuff. Then they took it back. I think Loki had it in one of the Avengers films. Thor took it back. They went back to Asgard, and then Loki nicked it again, and then he gave it to Thanos, and now it's the Space Stone inside his glove.
Yeah. My question is, at what point... So they found it.
Yeah.
And then... So how did it get from they found it... And I think it was Tony's dad who found it, right?
Yes.
At what point did it go from that to up in this space lab that no one knew about?
That's the sort of missing area. Because Howard Stark worked for Pegasus, which is what the Marvel character was working for on Earth, that they reckon that's where it... she must have grabbed it from that Pegasus... Yeah, this is getting a bit hard to explain.
What I find interesting is obviously no one knew who Marvel really was.
Yeah.
And therefore didn't know about her secret Skylab.
Yes.
And yet didn't kick up a fuss when their magic stone suddenly went missing.
Right.
It doesn't really ring true.
Yeah, that's a good point, yeah. Where's the blue cube? I don't know. I saw it yesterday. Maybe it was just... No, that's a good point. Nobody seemed to notice or care. Let's leave that one for Kevin Feige, I guess.
What did you guys think about the de-aging of Samuel L. Jackson and I forget the actor's name, but...
Clark Gregg?
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't notice it on Clark Gregg so much, but you can notice it on Sam Jackson pretty much.
Interestingly, I noticed it the other way.
Really?
Yeah. So Rolly's looking at me like he's got no idea what I'm talking about.
No, I was thinking I didn't really... Well, when you say you noticed it, you noticed that they de-aged.
Yes.
But you already know they've done that. But did you notice flaws in the way they've done that?
I thought it looked a little plastic on Samuel.
I thought the opposite.
I didn't.
Oh, really?
No.
Okay.
I wonder if... At least for me, I wonder if it was maybe because Fury had more screen time, so I was able to adjust.
Yeah.
But
whereas with Clark Gregg, every time he came up on screen, I was like, "Oh, that's a fake face."
It has. I think gotten a little better because I think there was one with Downey Jr. when he was on stage pretending to be his younger self, and that looked odd. But that was a few years back, so maybe the technology's got better. I guess.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's something that we're going to look back and go...
It didn't take me out of it.
That looks really bad.
No, it's not too... The one in Star Wars of Count... No, who was that? It was Christopher Lee's character in the Star Wars. That was weird. That sort of seemed odd. He's dead, of course, so they had to put him in.
Same with Carrie Fisher.
Ah, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
The more recent ones.
Yeah.
I guess the technology has improved. And for these guys, at least the benefit is that they only need to de-age the face.
And they're alive.
So they're still working off the same acting cues. They don't have to create the facial expressions.
Or I guess it's almost close to motion capture, like the Planet of the Apes or something like that. Yeah. Just a little point, which was amusing for me. Stan Lee's cameo in this.
Which, kind of like what we were just talking about.
What's he... when he's on the bus, though, right? Bus or train?
Tired.
I honestly can't remember.
Obvious. He was on the bus, I think.
I'm going to blow your minds right here. What's he reading on the train?
Oh, a comic book?
It's a script.
Oh, is it?
For Mallrats, a Kevin Smith movie from 1995. Oh. Which year is this set in?
Yep.
Stan Lee makes a cameo in Mallrats. That's why he's reading the script of it. He makes like a 4-minute or so cameo in that film, and he plays himself.
So he's himself in this movie.
He's himself in this movie. He's playing it. He's reading the script for the Kevin Smith movie. Yeah. That's a bit odd, isn't it? It's folding back in it on itself.
That's kind of fun.
Yeah, it was just a little...
Yeah,
you know.
That's one of his last ones, of course, because he's passed, sadly. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just thought that was one of the many things that was just a really kind of unsettled me here.
Right. Yeah, you're kind of against this film, aren't you? Yeah.
Well, I think it's good in that it sets up. I think unfortunately you you're going to have to watch this film to be part of to be over the whole picture of everything, aren't you?
No, I think
to see the next film.
No, I think you probably just watch the mid-credit sequence. Maybe
you mean to be able to follow in the next Avengers?
Yeah.
To be honest,
maybe
I
not.
think as long as you go in accepting, there's a new character, she's got powers.
Yeah,
cool.
I reckon. I
don't think there's more to it than that, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so it really is a pointless film then.
I wouldn't say that.
No, but if you're considering them all as like massive, long cinematic TV episodes, you could probably skip this one. There are a few that you need to follow to understand all the Infinity Stone stuff. This one, you don't necessarily need to.
Yeah,
just like, here's a new character. She's a toughie.
I would say, I wish I didn't have to say that it's skippable because it's, it's fairly pivotal. Like 21 movies and it's their first female lead.
Yeah.
And it's necessary.
Can I ask you though? Is that just the franchise cashing in on a movement?
On Wonder Woman, perhaps, from DC?
Possibly.
Are they doing... It feels a bit like that. That's why it feels like an ad to me, because they're not really necessarily even
invested?
Believing this. They're just kind of making a film because they have to.
Can I make a controversial statement here?
Go on.
It doesn't really matter.
Yep.
It doesn't matter their motivations for doing it as long as they do it.
Yeah, because it's helping change the balance of power in Hollywood.
And more often than not, changes like that have to be forced. If you wait for people to be ready and to do the right thing when they want to, you'll be waiting forever. So sometimes things like, they're only doing it to cash in, like, okay.
Then
that's their motivation. Fine. At least I still get a female superhero lead.
Yeah. You're just seeing a little insincerity.
I just still want it to be a good film. That's all.
That's the part that disappointed me. Is I still thought it was a good film.
Yeah, I
still enjoyed the story, but I thought it was a little bit just same old, same old. Like the story could have been better, but I didn't think it was a bad film. I enjoyed it. I walked out of it loving it.
Yeah, I walked out thinking it was fine. Here's a little, I don't know, counterfactual, let's see. No? A prediction. I don't know. Imagine this whole Me Too movement hadn't happened yet. We're still a few years away from this. Could that character have been, I don't know, the Sentry? There's another character in the comics who's as powerful, maybe more, than Captain Marvel, but he's a dude. And he's got mental problems and he doesn't use his powers all the time because he's afraid of what they do and all this kind of thing. Do you think what you're saying is they're making this because they need to? If they didn't need to, could they have made it with a male character?
I think they could have, yeah.
I mean, you can, but that's the thing. You can say that about almost every movie. You could make all of the Iron Man and Captain America movies with a female lead.
Yeah.
All can be swapped. The difference is in... balance, like 20 to 1.
But what I mean in this case is they have to find another character to combat Thanos, and it's got to be a strong, powerful character.
Yep.
There's not too many of them in the universe. And that's Marvel's one. I suppose Hulk, if he gets himself into shape. And the Sentry, maybe that's it.
Is the Sentry... I don't know anything about the character. Are they Earth-based? Like, are they human?
I don't know. I've read a little bit about this guy, but I think he is. He had some problem, and that gave him powers, so...
Yeah.
But he's... I think he's the one that sort of brings World War Hulk to an end in the comic books, when the Hulk just goes batshit on everybody's ass, and he sort of stops that. So if he can stop the Hulk, I don't know. I'm sounding a little bit comic book nerdy here. I've got to stop.
Did you ever even read these comics?
Yeah, I read that one. I read Planet Hulk and World War Hulk because that's a good stream, shall we say? Anyway, yeah, good point. Yeah, I don't know if it was forced. I just think they needed a really strong character, and why not make it a female after all this time?
Not forced. I think they may be just playing to a market here.
Well, it's made $500 million already, so it's a pretty good market.
It was a good gamble.
It's not, and it's not just. Has there been any backlash? A bit like the Ghostbusters reboot backlash.
I've been kind of avoiding trying to find the backlash because I'm sure it exists.
I think apparently the backlash existed even before the film came out.
Of course it did.
That's what happened with the Ghostbusters reboot.
Yeah.
So much so that I think it was Melissa McCarthy's character was reading something online.
Yes.
And she's going, what? How could they even say that? That's rude.
Yeah.
Before they made that into the film, which is pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, at least see the film.
And
then criticise it.
And then criticise the film. Yeah. Don't criticise it just because it's got female characters in it.
Yeah.
But those people who are doing that are invalid anyway. I mean, that's you don't even need to. Like, avoiding it is probably the best thing to do. You don't have to get yourself to...
Well...
They're going to troll you now.
Come on! Let's have a go, you little nerdy twerp sitting in your mum's basement. Come on, bring it on.
Oh, bring it on. Here we go.
Nothing will happen,
Careful
of course.
What you wish for.
It's kind of one of those it goes both ways things. Like, you kind of want to avoid it, or at least I want to avoid it because I just don't want to read that kind of vitriol.
Yeah.
At the same time, not engaging with it means that you have no real opportunity to change people's minds.
But those little fuckers are not going to be changed. I don't think there's any.
Some of them won't. Some of them are deeply set in their prejudices. Just like, I mean, anyone with really, really strongly held biases.
Yeah.
But some of them do kind of just
go with the group,
with the flow,
maybe?
or they only read content from a particular source, and that source is always filled with sexist material.
Yeah. So their algorithm...
They have the opportunity
to
be persuaded otherwise, but they have to be engaged first, and that's not a pleasant task.
You seem to be a nicer human than I am, Parizad. How did this work? I would just give them all a big kick into the ocean, you know?
Well, yeah. I mean, the ones that are really strongly held in their beliefs, no. I've got no time for them.
Yeah.
The ones that think that they have a genuine point, I'm willing to debate with.
Sure. Yeah.
But then when they don't change their mind, I'm usually just like, nah, I'm done.
Yeah, good point. Well, I think that's pretty much all we got on the subject. What do you reckon?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Look forward to the next one.
What is the next one?
Endgame.
The end game. Pretty soon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully you'll like this one, Roly. Let's see.
End of April.
I think it's looking good. I think.
Yeah. 3 hours worth.
Oh, hang on. It better be good.
I think it might be. Yeah, let's see. I don't want to go in with any prejudgments, but I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
I'm looking forward to it. My only hope is that it will be a good balance between story and action, and not just 3 hours of action.
Yeah, it's fast paced.
I guess it has to be. Yeah, and there are a lot of theories floating around, but let's not bring them up.
No.
All right. Well, thanks very much, Parizad.
Thank you.
See you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
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 Aren't you the cutest little thing? Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Gary.
What's cute? I'll be back.